Webster's dictionary defines the word subterfuge as the deceit used in order to achieve one's goal. I'm fairly certain that Matt has used subterfuge to hide the fact that he is the mole. His cover? Well, what better cover to use than to say that you're too busy at work to participate in the weekly challenges? Week after week, barely any participation. It's almost as if you just wanted everyone to forget you were still in the game. During the Keymaster Challenge, the 911 call that you had to take and couldn't send to Anderson the schedule of submissions, and you had to ask someone at the very last minute to help out. Sounds like you were just trying to throw off the rest of the group and increase your chances of putting more money into your pot. The Secrets and Lies Challenge, Matt was the last to submit because, of course, he was busy. My guess is that he was just trying to convey that he was just not there and no one would suspect any meddling. And then there was the confessions video, which pretty much summed up everything that I've just said. And at the same time, it was quick, it was short, it was non-theatrical like the rest of them. Kind of hiding in plain sight, Matt. Bravo. Bravo. And finally, when we got ratted out for having that Facebook page, no complaints from Matt.
I'm certain that Rusty is the mole. Who better to play the role of the mole than a talented actor? It just makes sense, right? From week one, I had my suspicions about who the mole could be, fooling me every step of the way, which isn't too hard to do. But from week one, Rusty was one of the first players in the competition to respond to the challenge instructions and initiate a strategy in order to execute each challenge. I believe this was his way of masterminding the other players. In fact, during Challenge 1, Homage, he said, and I quote, "I feel like everybody else is the mole, but me." He knows that everybody else can't be the mole. He just wanted us to believe that he wasn't the mole. Well, you weren't fooling me.
I am fairly certain that Matt is the mole. Here are a few reasons why. First, he's always the last one to chime in on anything, on any of the emails, on any of the challenges. He always submits his stuff to be the very last one. Second, he's a very good choice to be the mole because he kind of just lays low, just like anybody in Survivor knows that they're just a floater till the very end. Nobody suspects him. He gets on nobody's shit list. Everybody always creates all this drama and calling each other the mole, and he just kind of lays back and doesn't say anything, and he doesn't actually do anything. Number three, he'd be a great puppet for Anderson because he's a bottom, he's submissive, and he's willing to do anything that Anderson says to do. Fourth, how did he make it this far if he's not the mole? He really hasn't done necessarily anything in the game to contribute to it at all. So I don't think that he was really necessarily, if he was just a regular player, I don't think he'd necessarily be paying attention to all these other things unless he was the mole just to, by happen chance, get through to the end. And finally, I'm fairly certain that the mole's password is mole. In the challenge DJ Relay, I figured out that Nick's password by guessing to get into his locked image. But Matt, for some reason, his didn't require one. Then in the only challenge that needed everyone's password, which was the Keymaster, in order to get into their video, Matt that just so happened to be the one time in the entire game that he decided to chime in and take the lead on that one. So there was absolutely no chance for anybody to get through or guess his password to get to his video. Of course, that's the only one that he stepped up in. And then he told us that he was getting on a plane and couldn't compile all of our answers and acted like he didn't know we were talking about when we would actually say that we needed him to do all that in order to win the challenge. It all just seems really fishy. So I am fairly certain that Matt is the mole.